stream, and screw it, we'll stream on Kick too. Start stream on Kick. Okay, let's go here. Twitch is looking good. How is Kick doing? Kick is so turbulent, man. Kick is fine. YouTube, honestly, YouTube is probably the most turbulent. Guess they're each turbulent in their own ways. Um, Go live, change. Um, what are the different categories on TikTok? I've never really explored it. Live match is actually so toxic. Like, okay, here we go, man. So I have this new layout that I kind of like. Just wanted to add some vibrance to the display. I feel like I've sort of accomplished that with this. Um, some of you might have seen my story. I cried a lot this morning. I was really sad. Um, Shannon's grandfather died. This morning, I don't know. The last time I cried like that was probably uh like 2 months ago after this one therapy session that really hit me hard. Because we got into some of my childhood trauma, and that tends to get you. And before that, I hadn't really cried because I refused to allow myself to, because I, like most men, um, interpreted that as some sort of weakness. Um, not getting the chat.
How are we doing?
Okay. Anyway, like I was saying, I, like most men, interpreted my emotions that are removed from anger as some sort of weakness. So I wouldn't allow myself to feel any sadness. Obviously, that became a problem. But long story short, didn't allow myself to really feel anything. Cried a lot after that session. And some of my Tickfinity stuff's not working. Cried a lot this morning. It was it was heavy. I think part of it was that part of it was thinking about the passing of my own grandmother. Um, like, she will eventually die, and I feel like I've been dreading that ever since I started living with her. Um, Not sure why this isn't working. Because we're offline. Why are we offline? What's up, guys? For whatever reason, my Xfinity is not working right now. Trying to figure it out.
Stone
Sometimes it
Brother
does this.
565 says hi are amazing.
Thanks, man. It's working for people's chat, but it's not announcing when someone enters the chat. Uh, Let me do this on a different screen so you guys can see what's actually going on that end. What's up, Finn? Every time I see Finn, I think it's my high school track coach. Why is it not reading people's names out, dude? It says it's offline. Why is it offline? Uh, Screen is offline. Why? Try again. Play. Okay, so it's online now, but it's still not playing. What the hell, chat? Xfinity is so annoying sometimes, man. Test.
Cat God Sleeps says yo.
Yeah, this should be working, man. Screen one is ready. Sorry, guys. I know I have a ton of technical difficulties all the time, but that just comes with the territory. We're going to react to this video you see here on your screen. It's the World Government Summit. We're going to react to that eventually, but I wanted to announce the people who joined. And right now, it's not doing that.
Imhim says I thought bro was Zion.
Yeah, bro, you and everybody else, welcome to the stream, man. It keeps going offline. Like, why is that? Connect TikTok account. Spice got dizzy. Hey, Miles, appreciate the follow, man. Guys, we're gonna get on the way here in a sec. Let me play that song I wanted to play as an intro. We're gonna get on the way here in a sec. My Xfinity is being buggy, so I'm trying to fix that before we start the stream. Let's make sure the music is at a good volume. Lower this a little bit.
Miles says need to get Zion on stream bro FR.
I'm ahead, Miles. We're trying, man. We're trying, dude. We'll get there because I'm never gonna stop. But we need people like you to comment, follow, share, all of that stuff, man. Like that goes a long way. It helps a lot. What's up, guys? I'm trying to fix my Xfinity so it announces people when they join in the stream. That helps me kind of engage easier, know who's in the stream, who's talking, all that. But my Xfinity is having a lot of issues right now.
Says bro, I thought this was Zion.
Hey, brother, you and everybody else join the club,
Connor
man.
says you look like a mix of Zion Williamson and Francis Ngannou.
Hey, Miles, appreciate the rose. See, I don't see like it didn't announce the rose. What
says
the hell?
Zion mix with Francis Ngannou.
Here, sound alerts. Hey, thanks for the rose, Miles. Guys, if you're new here, drop a follow. Welcome to the stream.
Say that.
Yeah, bro.
Miles
Trust me, guys.
bro.
This is this if you've been in the stream before, you'll know that everything that's been said so far is just par for the course. Like everyone thinks I either look like Zion or Francis Ngannou or Khalil Mack or some other person. But those are the top three so far. It's Francis Ngannou. Well, Zion is number one. It's Zion, then Francis Ngannou, then Khalil Mack.
You're Francis Ngannou, dog.
There you go. It's those three. It's Zion, it's Francis, it's Khalil Mack. I might give up on this if it doesn't work soon because I want to get the stream started, but still offline. Why is it offline, bro? Go online.
Chiefs fan 30 says I thought you were Zion for real.
Yeah, brother, a lot of people do, man. Will it work if I sign out? All right, we're gonna sign out. Sign in. So this is the hip hop by Dead Presidents. Just resistance music, chat.
Miles says, what's the World Government Summit about?
The World Government Summit is a summit held to sort of take a pulse of where various leaders around the world are at, what their plans are, their hopes and dreams for their countries, how they feel and think about the international landscape, their take on their relationship with other worlds or with world powers, and if it is world power, other world powers. And yeah, that's basically it. In this clip in particular, three African leaders are being interviewed by Tucker Carlson, and yeah, I think it's worth paying attention to. I'm being fucking sabotaged because for whatever reason, my shit ain't working right now. But
Montgomery says, "Bro is either Zion or Francis." Og Swirl
one of those two,
thought
dude.
you was Zion for a quick sec.
All right, well, if the chat is on, that's fine. At least I can hear you guys' chat. I can't. It won't announce who joins for whatever reason, or when people gift, which is really annoying because I like to acknowledge those things. But what are you gonna do? I'll just keep it pushing for now, chat. We'll figure it out later.
4000 says, "Yo, WSG Zion."
What's up, guys?
Po4YT says Zion WTF.
Okay, here we go. We're gonna lower the music, if not, just entirely pause it.
Jesse Problem Child Montgomery says, "I thought you were Francis Ngannou."
Jesse, you and everybody else, brother, welcome. Guys, if you're on like Twitch or YouTube or anything like that, appreciate the follow. I don't know why it doesn't tell me who just followed, bro. Like whoever that was, appreciate the follow. If you're on Twitch or YouTube or Instagram, the name is the same, Spice God Dizzy. Check us out there. And let's get underway. Lower the music.
Going on today?
Lower that music, close this out, and we will get to the reactions.
Awfully nice.
So again, for some context for people who just joined us, this is a clip from the World Government Summit. It's Tucker Carlson interviewing three African leaders, and the point.
Zion, get on your stream.
Thanks, Jesse. I appreciate that, man. I might lower the volume of the text to chat for a sec because it really makes it tough to like continue my thoughts when the text to chat is louder. But I'll have it coming in the background a bit. Okay, so like I was saying, this is just to get a pulse. Oh, yo, I see that. Is that a tribe profile picture? That's tough, dude. Tribe Called Quest, man. They also make a ton of resistance music. Just by looking like somebody, exactly. Okay, let's watch.
do this. Just had to go.
Let me know if you guys can hear this good enough.
And first to you, President Mnangagwa.
Raise the volume a bit
thanks.
more.
In as clear terms as you can, I wonder if you would contrast your experience with China versus the Western powers. Do you think that Zimbabwe and other African countries, to be totally blunt, get a better deal from Chinese investment than they have with Western powers over the past 150 years?
Well, my view is that initially, as we became independent, we had most of our development thrust was from the West. But as we evolved, we have also benefited from investment and cooperation from countries like China.
But the basic structure seems the same. Foreign powers extract mineral wealth from various African countries. But do you think that the arrangement that Zimbabwe and other countries currently have with China is better or worse for Zimbabwe than it was under, say, the Brits?
I think the premises upon which you construct your question.
So, well, let's let it play out, and then we can talk about the sort of ducking that's happening here with some of these leaders to this question, because there's a reason they won't answer the question outright, and we'll talk about why in a sec. For a bit of background, I studied sociology and political science in college. The focus of my degree was community development and leadership. I was born during the Civil War. I'm a genocide survivor. I was a refugee. My lineage comes from West Africa, Liberia in particular. If you know anything about Liberia, freed people. Springfield College freed people from freed Black people from the United States. Had a Back to Africa movement supported by the American Colonization Society and Abe Lincoln, because they were white supremacists, and even though they eventually decided to free enslaved Black people, they didn't want anything to do with them, and so there was a movement to get them out. And there were some Black people who wanted to get out that went back to West Africa, that colonized this place that they named Liberia. The descendants of those people became these oligarchs in the country. My father is descended from that group of people. My mother is descended from the indigenous people of Liberia. And so my roots are African and American. Like, I feel like I am the true African American because everything about me is American and African combined. Anyway, that's a little bit of background about me, my academic background, my lived background, and then let's continue this video.
I don't think he's perfect.
Not surprised.
Yes, Zimbabwe is a sovereign state.
Yes.
You understand? And we move on the basis that gives us the best results of our resources. Whether it is relation with the West or the East, what is primarily important is what we ourselves as Zimbabweans are satisfied with. We don't need to please the West.
So one thing we need to understand about anything political is that there's always a degree of theater to it. There's always a degree of performance that's happening. So there's the official language in Liberia is English. There are 9 tribes, I believe. Each tribe has a different language that they speak. So there's no their language of Liberia. Back to the point, everything political, there's a bit of it that's theater. There's a bit of it that's performance. And I think when you if we rewind here, look at these guys. So these guys are from Zimbabwe as well, and look at how they are looking at the president speaking. Look at the expressions on their faces. They know there's a degree of it that's performance, and they're sort of tantalized to see how he's going to execute this performance. I mean, just take stock of the crowd. Just take stock of the crowd, right? It's this sort of game of when you get on the stage, how do you play the part? And the part he's trying to play here is a sort of stern, strong leader while not saying anything as to inflame his country's relationship with these other nations. And how he threads that needle is sort of the art. And these people in the crowd are kind of poised to see how he executes that performance, how he plays that role, how he performs that art.
What is primarily important is what we ourselves as Zimbabweans are satisfied with. We don't need to please the West or please the East. We please ourselves.
Good.
And so he takes the strong approach, right? Like, oh, we're not seeking to please any one nation or any one power. We're seeking to put forth what's in our own interest. And so that comes off as a leader who is strong and willing to do what's in the best interest of his country. But in reality, he needs to please the West and the East. He needs to. His country will die if he doesn't. But he doesn't need to say that outright, especially on the world stage. He can boast in this way, or not even boast, but he can take this sort of stern nationalist stance in the public sphere, and then in private dealings with these nations, go back to business as usual, and everyone will understand exactly what's going on.
That seems like a good model for every sovereign country. President Bio, thank you for this.
Guys, let me know if the audio is fine
difference
on the clips.
From a Western perspective, how the East does business in Africa versus how the West.
And so what Tucker is doing here, Tucker is probing. He's probing. He's trying to get. Appreciate you, Miles. Tucker is probing. He's probing. He's doing the same line of questioning. He's essentially asking the same question in different ways because he's looking to get some. He's like looking to break the defenses of these politicians, right? They are media trained. They are scholars. They're everything under the sun. They get trained in oration, in debate, all of it, right? And he's probing to try and break that wall and get them to sort of break character and say what is actually on their mind. He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it, right? These people are not new. But to his credit, that is the work of a journalist. Now, Tucker chooses when he's going to put his journalist hat on. Sometimes he's a grifter. Sometimes he's a white supremacist. Sometimes he's a Christian nationalist. Sometimes he's a journalist. Sometimes he's anti-Semitic. So he's going to move. He's going to put on the hat that works for the given scenario. Right now, he's got his journalism hat on, and he's doing it quite well. Right? We don't need to take this like either or approach to people. People are multifaceted. Things are nuanced and complex. Sometimes Tucker is a white supremacist. Sometimes he's a white nationalist. Sometimes he's a journalist. Sometimes he even speaks about equality. But again, it's he also plays a role, right? He's also playing a part. And right now, his role in this stage, none of those other hats make sense but the journalism hat. And so that's the role he's going to play. That's the hat he's going to wear.
West does, and it may be too sensitive a topic really even to talk about out loud, but to the extent you have a view you can share, would you?
I'm sure relations cannot be measured country by country.
Yes.
Relations depend on the historical background of countries between one country and another.
Yes.
That's the basis on which relations grow.
Yes.
And are nurtured. For us in Zimbabwe, yes, we are a former British colony, but we are very happy with the relations that have now developed with, say, countries like China and so on.
Yes.
Despite being a former British colony.
I think this may be one of these topics that's too difficult to talk about in public, so let me just ask you.
And now Tucker breaks character. He breaks character because he admits the question he's asking cannot be honestly addressed in public. But he knew that. He knew that to begin with. He wanted to see if he would get away with it. It's not working because the president of Zimbabwe keeps ducking the question, and then Tucker calls the game and says, okay, we're obviously not going to discuss this in public. That's one thing he does sometimes, is he'll kind of peel back the sort of screen and like kind of gets all like what's the term, meta about it, and kind of tell the audience exactly what's going on, which is to say this guy is not going to genuinely answer this question because it would be absurd to give his honest take on China and Western powers in a forum like this. That would be like political suicide. So of course he's not going to do that.
President Bio, about one of the strengths of your country and the continent, which is its birth rate, which so far surpassed.
So now he pivots to something a lot less inflammatory, talking about some of the internal achievements of particular countries, right? These guys can speak on that. And they still won't be completely honest. They will paint the things happening within their respective nations as sort of with sort of rose-colored glasses, and to make it look like things are great and there are all these great achievements and we're doing great things, right? Because at the end of the day, there's sort of these marketing executives for their nations.
Passes that of any other region in the world, and that seems like a strength. How has your country, Sierra Leone, but also many other countries in Africa, been able to maintain a birth rate at replacement when Europe, the US, Canada, lots of other parts of the world have not been able to?
Thank you very much. I think we are hard workers, and we work both in the day and at night. And
that is such great advice.
It is essential to have young people and to keep the birth rate at the right level so that there is sustainability in development.
Okay, this is neither here nor there, but I think it's good context for international relations. So look at the way all these people are dressed. They're all dressed fairly similarly, which is interesting given that they come from different cultures and different nations and different places around the world. And so, but you couldn't tell that from just looking at them. They look fairly homogenous. That speaks to Western homogeneity. So all that means is, or Western hegemony. And all that means is that the world operates from a Western perspective, even in the dress, the sort of economic modes of operation, everything is from a Western perspective. Why? Because America rules the world. That's not hyperbole. That's not conjecture. America rules the world. We are the dominant power. We are the dominant empire in the world. Okay. More broadly, the West rules the world, but who rules the West? America. This guy right here, the president of, I believe, Sierra Leone, he's dressed like a typical American politician. He's even got the badge of his, like the badge flag pin of his country, right? They all take cues from the Western powers because the West rules the world. And even you can even tell it in the dress, something that subtle, but it speaks to the Western dominance?
What we do today, or as leaders, we provide the enabling environment, provide them with the tools, the young people to navigate the world, which is extremely tough, complicated, and evolving and changing all the time. So it is our responsibility to bear that in mind. We have to plan ahead, be ahead of the curve to be able to replace accordingly so that we don't have a gap in our development process. So we have been busy producing as much as we can, a lot of good people, and we are investing in their education so that they are fit for purpose for a world that is becoming digital and, of course, going extremely to the edge of technological advancement.
If I could just ask a quick follow-up to you, Mr. President. Do you keep track precisely of how many of your young, educated citizens leave and how many stay? Are you thinking hard about how to retain the smartest, most energetic people?
Definitely. In fact, what my administration did was to make sure that we provide basic primary and secondary education free of.
So these are softball questions, right? These are questions that give them the opportunity, again, to like speak to their achievements, and they all want to do that. And so, as you can see now, they are engaging more fully.
Of charge to the citizens. Every child born in Sierra Leone can go to school and finish high school without paying a penny. We don't just provide tuition, we also make sure that we provide other essentials to make it possible so that nobody has excuse not to go to school, because in the 21st century, without education, definitely you can't make it. And we do not just want to make it at the personal level, family level. We want to grow as a nation. We want to be useful citizens of West Africa, the community that I chair today. But we also want to be useful citizens, global useful citizens that can contribute to the world. So we are taking stock of that, and we are educating them.
So one thing we have to understand about the majority of leaders in Africa, they are puppets of the West. How do we know this? Their economic policies serve Western interests and not the interests of their respective nations. No leader who cares about the prosperity of their nation would implement policies that benefits other nations above theirs. And sometimes people kind of take that perspective with America and Israel, but what they don't understand is that Israel serves as a military outpost in the Middle East and serves as a mercenary state for the United States. They're a vassal state like any other vassal state for the U.S. Hold on, I just dropped something. That dynamic is categorically different than what happens with African countries. African countries, while they're also vassal states, their position is more subservient than that of Israel. Israel is sort of a hired gun. These guys are sort of serfs in that they must work to serve the economic interest of the U.S., or they will be killed and replaced. Israel serves the military interest of the U.S., and in exchange, they get paid for doing so. And they gain greater territory in the region. But I bring that up because listen to his rhetoric. He is speaking as though these African countries are somehow like working from a position of being not as useful, which is complete nonsense, right? We know damn well the reason these Western nations went to Africa to colonize it is because it's incredibly useful. It's full of resources, be it natural or human, and these Western powers exploited that, and these colonies were the most productive places in the world. So there's no question as to usefulness. The question is exploitation. But he won't bring that up because that's inflammatory, and it will create strife between his nation and these world powers.
Equipping them, in fact, I call education as an equipment, a navigation equipment in a world that is becoming very, very complicated and complex.
Thank you. President Boko, as you look at young people in Botswana who are educated and energetic, what's your pitch to them? What's your argument to them to stay in Botswana, not go to South Africa, Europe, the United States?
Young people are generally innovative. They are entrepreneurial. They now have become
What's up, C4?
natives.
Not much, man. It's going well. Thanks for being here. I hope you're doing good. I'm not sure when you sent that chat in, but I kind of saw it late. Either way, welcome, dog.
Remain within Botswana so that they can then spread their reach and influence to every part from Botswana. And so the opportunities that there are in Botswana, the training, the education, the acquisition of skills, the support, the environment that nurtures them and feeds and fuels their verve and vitality is what Botswana offers and what will power Africa. Africa generally is a very young continent with a median age of 19.3. Botswana's median age is 25. And so with such a population, Africa is poised to rule the world.
So what are your plans for the world once you rule it?
To make it fairer, to make it more equitable, to ensure that intellectual property is internalized in every part.
So the president of Botswana is less concerned with being inflammatory, as you can see. Rhetoric like we're poised to rule the world is in stark contrast to the president of Zimbabwe, who sort of played this middle ground with the question around which relationship, be it with the West or with the East, is more beneficial to his country.
Part of the African continent, that innovation serves humanity, not just a predatory elite, and that everybody can partake equitably and benefit from the fruits of the economy and the vast.
He's talking about the predatory elite, which we've talked about a million times on this channel. They are global, but the elites in the parts of the world with more power are naturally more powerful. And so not all elites are created equal. Some have more power and privilege than others. And here is the president of Botswana speaking to the sort of pervasiveness of elite dominance around the world.
Opportunities that are available in the world.
Well, I look forward to being treated fairly under your rule. Thank you. President Mnangagwa, I wonder what lessons you've been in the government of Zimbabwe for decades in various roles, including through a very turbulent period where your predecessor famously kicked out the whites and then the economy tanked and now it's rising again. I wonder if you would summarize the lessons that your country has learned from that experience.
I'm not so sure what you have in mind. But let me say, our economy has faced challenges. I'm sure you're aware.
Yes.
Zimbabwe has been under sanctions for decades as a result of us claiming our land from the British and making ourselves independent. We seized the land And
Okay, so this is exactly what I was getting at earlier, right? The West has nigh total control over the global economic system. And so if you're sanctioned by a Western power, that starves your economy. It begs the question, why would they sanction Zimbabwe? They sanctioned Zimbabwe because Zimbabwe dared to declare its sovereignty. And they're paying the price for that. This is the case for Haiti after Haiti declared independence and fought for their freedom. They've been paying the price for it ever since, paying in an insane exchange, paying France, the one that subjugated them, paying France reparations as opposed to the other way around. And he's willing to speak about the damage of the sanctions to the economy because it's obvious, but it's obvious in a way that is normal in this forum to talk about. Oh yeah, sanctions are an international policy, and by the very term, it kind of communicates what it does if you are familiar with international relations. And so he doesn't have to sidestep around that. But Tucker is wanting a bit more in this question, and he's not willing to go there. That's why he prefaced his statement with, "I'm not sure what you have in mind," as to sort of check Tucker and say, "Watch yourself now."
Gave it to our people. So sanctions were imposed on us. But in spite of all that constraint we have developed, and we are happy that we have developed on our own, and we feel very independent.
Well, some of the land was seized from people who were born there. So I wonder if there's a lesson about targeting people on the basis of their skin color. Do you think?
Can I hear you?
Well, people had their land seized in Zimbabwe who were born in Zimbabwe, and they were targeted on the basis of their race. And I wonder if you think that's good or bad.
No. Land did not belong to a race. It belonged to Zimbabweans.
Right. Hey everybody, Walton Goggins here. Starting a business is never easy.
Goggins is having a moment right now.
So
America is loving him.
When the colonialists took land from us, time came when we asserted ourselves, take back our land. And those who wanted to have land at the same basis as the African people of Zimbabwe remained. But those who felt they were superior left.
Okay. Mr. Bio, it does seem like, Mr. President, that the model of government around the world seems to be changing, and people seem to have lost confidence in democracy, at least in the West. People aren't quite as keen to promote democracy. Do you notice this? Do you think democracy is in retreat around the world?
I think the world is in transition.
Yes.
And normally that comes along with instability. I normally refer to it as we are in a state of flux.
Yes.
We have been told to go democratic. And those who are leading the way or who have been teaching us to be democratic are no longer committed to that method of governance. So we are left.
They never were.
But I still believe that democracy is the best.
The people will argue against this, but at least in America being the sort of shining example of democracy, and so it works as a perfect case study for this question. Has there ever been in the world democratic rule, like globally? Has that ever existed? the prevailing narrative is, yes, America is a shining democracy. It has been for a long time. This is a lie. I'm not going to skirt around the issue. This is a lie. The world has never existed democratically, at least not in the modern age or any other time that we know of. There's never been democratic rule in any major country. I know this will sort of sound shocking to people. People will have the knee-jerk reaction as to reject such a claim, but it's true, and let me explain why. And we'll keep talking about America in this case. At America's inception, when we claimed freedom, liberty, and justice for all, it in fact was not for all. A great swath of the population were excluded from this sense of liberty and justice, right? Though we exclaimed it to be for all. And not just sort of the others, right? Those outside of whiteness, even white people were excluded from this idea of liberty and justice for all. Poor whites did not have the right to vote. They were also serfs in the colonies. There were slaves and there were serfs. They also worked to live on the land. They did not have, they were not allowed into the franchise, right? They were not allowed to vote. And so moving from that point, using that as our starting point up until now, we have to then say that, okay, America certainly wasn't a democracy then. And so how much has it become a democracy since? And when we speak in those terms, we have to look at who is allowed into the franchise now and how are they allowed into that franchise. And when we're looking at that, we see that there's a ton of repression that takes place, that has taken place historically. There's a ton of repression that takes place now. And this repression exists to and works to keep people from the franchise, make it harder for them to vote, make it harder for them to gain economic stratification, move up economically. And so there's been no time in American history where we've existed as a democracy that allows liberty and justice for all. It's never been the case. It's always been a lie. It's always been a lie. So this idea that democracy is in retreat or that we're changing and so, or like the order of the world is changing and so that's why democracy seems a little bit shaky is absurd. There has never been there's never been democratic rule ever, even in the ancient places that we give credit to for sort of inventing democracy. First of all, democracy has always been around. All democracy means is that everyone in the body is given say in the decisions made that impact said body. Human beings have been doing that since we were nomads, okay? Democracy isn't new. Democracy at the state level was new. I'm not even sure if I'll even give them this idea that the Greeks invented democracy. I won't even give it that. Smaller settlements of human beings, I cannot believe never used a similar system. That's absurd. Documented democracy, sure, we can give that to the Greeks. But even then, it wasn't democracy because there were huge swaths of people, again, not allowed into the franchise. Only land-owning people were allowed into the franchise. So if you did not own land, you could not vote. If you were a slave, you could not vote. If you were a woman, you could not vote. That's not democracy. It's not democracy. It's never existed at the state level. Or how we think about modern nation states today. It's never existed. You won't hear these people say that because that's inflammatory and their job isn't to speak truth. Their job is to perpetuate the interests of the elites within their borders. They too are part of those elites. What's up, Chris? Hope that wedding is going well. If it hasn't started yet, I hope you're looking forward to it. Okay, let's continue.
Method of governance, choosing who leads, especially a liberal democracy with all the freedoms that go with it, so that human rights and other liberties are observed and maintained. We remain committed to democracy, irrespective of
the smile on that guy's face was indicative of the performative nature of all of this.
Now reverses, even in Africa, around the world.
Oh, okay.
Fact, these days, when
sometimes they do it like that, and they'll do like an after party.
You hardly hear about democracy.
Hold on, let me rewind this.
Africa, around the world. In fact, these days, when you listen to world news and other things, you hardly hear about democracy. You're very right. But we are committed to it because it is the best form until we can provide an alternative that can really sit well with us in society. We remain committed to democracy.
Elites are not committed to democracy. They never have been and they never will be. They're committed to perpetuating their power. They're committed to perpetuating their position at the top. And democracy works against that. And so they will never do anything that would substantially make the society more democratic. Any and all gains that have been made as to make any nation more democratic stems from the people resisting elite dominance. Any human rights gains, any sort of proliferation of democracy, making voting easier, making regular people's voice heard, all of that stems from everyday people resisting elite dominance. Why would they want democracy? It would remove them from their positions at the top. It wouldn't be in their material interest. Why would they do so? Oh, because they're such good people. Don't be insane.
China is a relatively new entrant, really.
Yes.
Into the historical space and climb. China only lifted itself out of abject poverty over the last 40 years. We've been free from colonialism now in Botswana for almost 60 years. We have had an affinity with the West because of the relationship, the special relationship that we've had with them. And China has only come in, and we relate with China on terms that we define ourselves. We look at what it is that China offers, what it is that we need, and we sit and good a deal as we are able to negotiate in a situation where all the parties come to the table and present their offerings. So I think the relations are shaped largely by what the interests of these African countries, ourselves included, are.
Interesting. President Mnangagwa, what did you think of what happened in Venezuela last month?
Venezuela is very far away from Zimbabwe.
Yes, it is. yes, sir. But I wonder, I still wonder as a head of state, a longtime head of state, what you thought of that. I mean, you must pay attention to what happens to other heads of state.
Yeah, but I don't know what we really read in Zimbabwe actually happens in Venezuela, but from what we read, we are interested to know why it is happening.
But President B, what did you think?
I was stunned, and I'm still stunned. It was so surreal that I still have to understand whether the world order, the rules-based society, is still existing, and if not, what becomes of the world? That's why I earlier described the state.
So this is these are some buzzwords that folks in this sphere have begun to use. A rules-based society. do we still live under a rules-based society? It's also poppycock. We've never lived under a rules-based society. A nation's sovereignty is only as legitimate as they can defend it, right? Because what sovereignty means is no one can tell you what to do. Well, if no one can tell you what to do and no one can tell that other nation what to do, who's going to stop them from coming to kill you? You. And if you can't, well, you're fucking dead. That's the landscape. That has never changed. That has never changed. Countries will create alliances to protect themselves, to make it harder for others to invade them, to sort of bolster their sovereignty. But this idea that countries are held to some like higher legal authority, who, where, what? It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. What, the fucking UN? Are you kidding me? How'd that work out for Palestine? For the people in Gaza? They were genocided. They continue to experience a genocide. What happened to rules-based society then? Come on.
As we are in a state of flux, because everything that we have understood as the basis for international order is fragmenting or being destroyed right in our face.
It's, again, he's performing. They're all performing.
And I'm sorry, it felt like an unfair question, but that's exactly more to the point. What I'm asking is this a sign of a changing order? And I will end with you, President Boko. What was your response to it?
Well, I think we are seeing a world where rules seem to matter very little, and they matter only depending on who is benefiting from them and who is wielding the stick at any given point in time. We know that public international law respects territorial integrity. It respects the sovereignty.
So this guy is more honest. And for that reason alone, I have greater respect for him than them. Now, I'm not calling him honest. I'm saying in contrast to the other two, he is more honest. The first one, and they are all doing the performance. They're all playing politics, but for whatever reason, this guy seems to be more willing to, still in a artful, statesman-like manner, challenge prevailing narratives. But he's doing it in a way that fits the mold of typical politicians, slightly, ever so slightly skirts away from it, but ever so slightly. But the bar is low. The bar is low, guys.
Of nations. And it also requires that the people of every nation state must exercise their self-determination. They must determine what happens within their borders. And to have external powers intrude and remove any head of state, regardless of what the circumstances are, I think it's something that is utterly shocking, and it is an affront to a rule-based international order. I think it must be described in starkly those terms and nothing pretentious.
Gentlemen, thank you for doing this and for your patience with my questions, and I really appreciate it very much. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
All right, chat. I'm going to make a couple clips from this stream. Chrome Sins, how you doing, man? Well, share your thoughts. What'd you think about the forum? What'd you think about their responses? What'd you think about Tucker's questions? What'd you think about my responses? Do you think about the state of the world? Do you think about the state of the world in relation to the state of your life? What what is your understanding of national politics, international politics? Share your thoughts. The chat bot will read them out. We can have a conversation, but I'm going to open the floor for a conversation before calling the stream.
Noah says at work, but WSPPP.
What's up, Noah? Yeah, not much, man. We were just reacting to an interview of some African leaders at the World Government Summit. This is kind of what that was. Yeah, I hope you're doing well at work, dude. No one has questions or comments. I'm going to end this stream, start a new one, and switch to some art graders. I'm trying to get an account so I can like easily have the Epstein files in one place and go through them and just give my thoughts because people want that. But like I said,
Sprary Bro got you on background while on art grader.
Oh, heard you. No worries, man. People want to hear my take on the Epstein files. I'll do that. But like I said, the major takeaway that we should all be having here is that there should be, Chrome, appreciate you. There should be no question no question of who the problem is. The problem are the elites. That's it. And if this doesn't tell you that, I don't know what else will. Okay, we're going to end this one, start a new one, start playing some Ark. Thanks for tapping in, guys. We'll see you soon.